Hey, this is Zach from Double Your Freelancing. An idea we've been having come up in the DYF Accelerator community a lot this past week has been the idea of scaffolding. And it came up with one of the students, Maia, in the community. So for her, she almost lost out on what ended up being a 400% increase in her lead flow by prematurely building scaffolding into her business. So today's video, we're going to talk about scaffolding, when to avoid it, when to lean into it, and that sort of thing. But first, let's look at Maia's progress, and then I'll dig into what exactly it was that I told her not to do. So I've got the video pulled up from 2 days ago on the mastermind where I checked in with her after she had been working on the advice I gave her last week. Let's see what she had to say. How have the goals been going? Let me pull yours up.
Really good. I was working on incrementing my leads per week, and I went from having like 2-3 leads per month to 2 consecutive weeks having 3 discovery calls and landing 2 new clients.
Wow, great job. That's awesome.
Yeah, really, really shifting. I really feel it. And all by doing more marketing and just prioritizing marketing first before website or any of the other things that I thought that were a priority.
Awesome. Well, that's a great early win, I reckon. So there's that one. And then we checked in again today, and she had another cool win as she's been leaning more into the marketing. Because basically, I was really pushing her to spend her on the business work time on her existing marketing strategy that was working rather than scaffolding. So here was her check-in today, a couple days later.
I have been working on my marketing, on spending the hours that you spend on marketing, and it has led yesterday, like posting like client wins on Instagram, just very simple ones what my clients launched. And then I just added, like, for the first time now, booking July and beyond. And 4 people replied to that asking for my starter deck, which is huge. It's a lot. I've never tried it before. And it's like, okay, that's something really cool to try on. But I think I want to, like, from there, I want to learn more on what we were talking the other day, that it's like, okay, I'm doing it on Instagram, but can I grab what I'm doing there and do it on, like, maybe LinkedIn, or like, where are these clients that are willing to pay me what I want? Instagram, they're paying attention to me, but is there a platform where I'm no one that I can start scaling a little bit?
So there you have it. I will now cut into the post that I did, or the community recap thingy where I talk about this idea of scaffolding. And while you watch, I'd like you to be thinking about if there is anything in your business that you're dumping a lot of time into that's maybe a little bit too much scaffolding for where you're at right now. Or conversely, are there hamster wheelie things that you're doing right now that might require some more scaffolding? So let's cut to that video and see if you get any good ideas. The example that comes to mind for me is with Maia in the office hours. She came on wanting to polish her onboarding flows and SOPs and stuff like that. But as I was chatting with her, it became clear that her bigger problem for right now is just that she doesn't have the client flow that she needs in order to raise her rates yet. And so through the course of this office hours, we ended up basically determining that her time would probably be better spent generating leads, since she already has an Instagram marketing strategy that works. It just requires her time. And putting all this scaffolding together to, like, automate client onboarding when you don't even have that many leads coming in is kind of cart before the horse. And this comes up in a lot of different contexts. But I just wanted to share this loose strategy. I have it a lot where sometimes I'll create like an SOP, or I'll create Zapier automations for things that then just go away after a couple weeks. And so I invested way more time building all of this scaffolding than I would have just manually doing the task. So a good rule of thumb, if you notice yourself kind of putting together a lot of things where you invest a lot of time to build something, so that might be something like a course or SOPs or client onboarding systems or a lead magnet, is to say, like, number one, have I done this process so many times now in the non-scaffolded way that I know it back to front? It's always pretty much the same and it's predictable, and now I'm ready to actually gain efficiency via the scaffolding? Or is it still in the process of me honing it in which case I should probably do the process more times before I formalize it into this repeatable flow. So that's been one interesting little takeaway. And kind of building on that, I did the check-in with John last week about his experience implementing the blueprint. So John came on and I did like basically a progress report because he's been making good progress with the blueprint. And a couple interesting takeaways. One of them is that whenever you're trying to do something new, especially if it's the blueprint and these interviews and stuff, like the thing to remember is that it's always hardest at first. It's always hardest to get your first client. It's always hardest to raise your rates the first time. It's always hardest to do your first like interview, but that each time you do it subsequently, it gets easier and you get to start to tap into like the network effect kind of thing. And you get to start to tap into like existing momentum. So if you're ever feeling challenged and frustrated as you're trying to get started in some new direction, just remember it's always hardest at first and it gets easiest over time. And in John's case, like he had a couple interviews booked at first, but it's getting exciting for him because now he's getting interviews booked with people he doesn't know. Like he doesn't have any existing connections or anything to, but they're like a second or third order recommendation from people he had on his podcast at first. So that's starting to get exciting for him. Like he started his podcast interviewing business owners he already knew. And now he has a prospective client who came from the Trojan horse process who he did not at all know. So that's kind of cool. And in this sort of scaffolding thread, something I wanted to mention for people going through the blueprint or for people thinking about honing their service offering and stuff is that a honed service offering, a productized service, anything like that, that is scaffolding. And that before you go down the route of like creating a productized service, updating your website to say, these are the things I offer, these are the packages, remember that scaffolding thing and say, how can I do this in a scrappy way a few times first to like solidify what the expectations and norms are before I like formalize everything around this. One other little note regarding Blueprint. So in John's case, he's been chatting with business owners about what the bottlenecks are, particularly with solopreneurs. And a lot of where they're benefiting is kind of like how you're benefiting from this community is like needing some accountability, needing someone to shine a flashlight on like where the inefficiencies or growth ceilings are. But the thing that I shared with him is that as a freelancer or agency owner, the easiest money at first is always done for you. So if you like coach somebody on something, so let's say when you comes to an office hours and I tell you something to work on, all I did is added a new task to your plate and you're already busy. Imagine how much easier it would be if you were on this office hours with me and we were, let's say, talking about like getting clients. And I was like, hey, actually, you know what? Just pay me, $200 a client. I'll just go get the clients for you. Like, obviously that would be much easier and more appealing to you. And so when you're selling services to clients, remember this, because I think when you're going through the blueprint, it's easy to kind of find yourself moving towards a coaching role because it makes sense. And there's nothing wrong with it. You get really, really good data by being in a coaching role. But just remember that when you are implementing lead magnets, when you're implementing service offerings, when you're implementing all this stuff as a freelancer or agency owner, your biggest thing that you should be thinking of is how can I move this into a done for you service where they just pay me money, they give me the information I need, but I do the thing for them. So that's just a little, it might seem obvious, but it's a little note that stuck out. So there you have it. If you want to get in on conversations like these, you can join the DYF Accelerator community at dyf.link/DYFA. See ya.